I just want to start off by responding to Minister Champagne's comments about stabilizing grocery prices. I think his comments were frankly ridiculous. First of all, we shouldn't be stabilizing, we should be lowering prices to just allow market forces to do it. What was the point of the meeting then? What was the outcome of the meeting if he doesn't have a plan, that the government's not going to force them, that they're going to do it on their own? It sounds like a lot of nothing to me. And at a time when Canadians have been faced with high grocery prices for almost 2 years, that is a complete failure of leadership. What we need to do is bring in stronger laws now to stop the price gouging, the price fixing, to stop mergers which are driving up the cost of goods. We need to tackle the problems that are in the system right now and make sure Canadians can afford their groceries. That's what my bill will do. And we're encouraging the government to move forward with concrete legislation, concrete steps to lower the cost of groceries. And the second thing I want to touch on is that given yesterday's very, very serious allegations, shocking allegations that continue to have reverberations across the country, I've written directly to the Commissioner for the Public Inquiry that given these allegations, there's no doubt now that India should be included in the public inquiry and that any and all forms of interference need to be investigated thoroughly so that Canadians are assured that those steps have been taken. And I just want to say that in French, and then I'll take your questions. And then the final piece is that Canadians also need to know that they're being protected and safe, given that there's real, credible threats against their lives. Donc, après, on a entendu le discours de ministre Champagne. Je veux dire, honnêtement, c'est ridicule. Le fait qu'il veut plafonner les prix, qu'on doit les réduire, et le fait qu'on a une situation où il va laisser les grands PDG de le faire, c'est complètement ridicule dans un temps où c'est presque 2 ans qu'on a eu une inflation des épiceries qui est plus haut qu'inflation générale. Et deuxièmement, j'ai écrit une lettre directement à la commissaire de l'enquête publique pour dire, après les allégations choquantes d'hier, on doit inclure l'Inde dans l'enquête publique pour mieux savoir les liens ou les ingérences qui existent pour donner de confiance aux Canadiens que nous sommes sécuritaires. Et finalement, avec les allégations ou les menaces crédibles contre plusieurs Canadiens, on va demander une question directement au Premier ministre. Qu'est-ce qu'il va faire pour rendre sécurité les gens qui sont des victimes de ces menaces? With that, I'm ready for any questions.
Mr. Singh, Mr. Poilievre said earlier today that he wants more facts, he wants more evidence from the government about these credible allegations. Do you also want that evidence, or do you trust what the government is telling you right now?
I think the next stage that's going to happen is going to be an investigation where the Canadian justice system will evaluate the weight of the evidence, and a public inquiry which will independently assess the weight of the intelligence. Right now, we're faced with very serious allegations, and there's steps that need to happen in front of us.
Sur l'épicerie, on est déjà dans une situation où il y a essentiellement 5 grands joueurs qui contrôlent le système. Je lisais votre projet de loi. En quoi est-ce qu'il va changer quoi que ce soit à ça, puisque les fusions ont déjà eu lieu?
Donc, pour la question de fusion, ça va protéger les Canadiens dans le futur, mais on a des autres mesures qui vont aider les Canadiens pour réduire le coût des épiceries. Je parle du fait qu'on a des éléments pour s'attaquer au price fixing, donc la pratique des grandes entreprises d'augmenter les prix des épiceries. Donc, on a des mesures pour donner plus de pouvoir au bureau de concurrence pour arrêter ça. L'autre élément dans le projet de loi, c'est l'exploitation des gens. Donc, il y a une présence c'est un abus d'une position dominante de quelques grands joueurs. Et cet abus, c'est quelque chose qu'on peut arrêter avec les mesures dans le projet de loi que j'ai proposé. Donc, il y a des mesures concrètes pour réduire les coûts des épiceries maintenant et des mesures pour protéger les Canadiens contre les futures fusions des grandes entreprises.
Can you please, you had this meeting with the Prime Minister yesterday. Did he clarify for you what the government means when it says stabilize prices? And can you please just expand a little bit on what you said are ridiculous comments from Minister Champagne? What is ridiculous about what he's saying?
The fact that after almost 2 years of inflation for groceries exceeding general inflation, The Liberals' response is to meet with the CEOs to ask them nicely to stabilize prices, and then he's saying that they'll do it on their own. That is ridiculous, given the fact that Canadians have been paying thousands of dollars more in groceries because of high inflation in grocery prices, when we've got a report from the Competition Bureau that makes it very clear that there is an increase in their margins, that they are making record profits, and that there are steps that we can take to strengthen the Competition Bureau that could allow for lower prices for Canadians. And so letting the people that have exploited inflation and jacked up the prices of people's food figure it out on their own as a response to almost 2 years of record grocery inflation is ridiculous.
Est-ce que le Canada devrait revoir sa relation avec l'Inde? Est-ce que le Canada devrait abandonner son projet de faire un traité de libre-échange avec l'Inde et revoir le rôle de l'Inde dans la stratégie Indo-Pacifique?
Donc, à ce moment, ce que le Premier ministre a dit qu'ils vont suspendre ces discussions, je pense que c'est vraiment, si on prend des moments pour réfléchir sur ce qui s'est passé, ce sont des allégations qu'un citoyen canadien était tué au Canada par un gouvernement étranger. C'est vraiment une violation de notre souveraineté. Donc, si ces allégations sont vraies, on doit réfléchir sur c'est quoi le rôle que l'Inde peut jouer. Si c'est un État, un pays, un gouvernement qui a des pratiques comme ça, on doit réellement considérer si on veut avoir une relation avec un pays comme ça, s'il ne change pas les pratiques comme ça.
Are you confident with how CSIS handled the threat and the intelligence, or do you have any questions about whether CSIS took all the steps it should have, or how the national intelligence agencies in this country handled the threat that we heard about yesterday?
What I'm deeply concerned about is that amongst many members of the Sikh community, there are folks that have been warned about credible threats against their lives, and that despite those threats being made aware, they were not protected, and there wasn't a clear plan of protection. That's something that I'm deeply concerned about, that giving someone awareness of or a briefing on potential threats without having a clear plan to protect them is, I think, a failure, and that's something that's really concerning. There are people whose lives are at risk right now, and they don't know what's going to happen. And that's why I'm going to be asking that question directly to the Prime Minister. What is the plan now, given these serious allegations, to protect Canadians who might also be at threat with violence here in Canada?
Are you questioning the role of CSIS? Are you questioning its efficacy or whatever?
My question is around the security or the protection of people that are receiving the information. So people have received intelligence. What's the next step? Once you tell someone that there's a real threat, what is the next step to make sure that they're protected? That's an area where I think the federal government has not actually done enough to keep people safe.
When were you first made aware of these allegations, and how were you made aware?
Yesterday. Thanks so much. Merci.